walking into court and seeing what I have personally and professionally, I feel like I can affect change from the bench.
Thank you to our sponsors of the Inside Story Hunters podcast. A big shout out to Chad Hill of Term Provider, home of Big Lou, Tiffany Wondros, CNR Services, Michael Valletta of Quick Cuts Media. Don't forget to subscribe at youtube.com, where you can follow our weekly episodes and get an automatic link to listen to our next guest sharing a part of their incredible inside story. So subscribe or listen on any podcast channel to your Inside Story Hunters podcast. Thanks for following us. Thanks for supporting us. Good morning, Lynne Ingram. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Laurie. How are you?
I have to tell you, I couldn't sleep. I was so excited to have the honor to interview you, to have you as a guest on the Inside Story Hunters podcast. So, I don't want to steal your thunder. Help me unveil as much as we can today. It would take us 5 days to even put a voice to half of your inside story. And so much of it, we're not going to be able to put a voice to. And that, I think, is a perfect way for us to segue into your mission to become a judge. So tell us a little bit about your inside story as a person, as a woman, and then let's walk through and unveil that powerful story.
Sure. Thank you. So when I was growing up, I was raised by a public service family. My father was in the military. My mother was a stay-at-home mom of 3 girls. I'm the youngest of 3. And when I was 9, she decided to go back to school, and she went to law school. And so I watched my mom as a child go from cooking and cleaning and doing all the stay-at-home mother things to reading books everywhere she went and still managing to accomplish it all. I even went to her classes. I remember sitting outside of her classes at some days, listening to the lectures. So all that to say, fast forward to her becoming an attorney. She has always been interested in working on child advocacy law. She was a guardian ad litem, a court-appointed special advocate. And for the past 30 years, she has been with the Department of Social Services in South Carolina. And she's still working there today. So when I was in high school, she took me to family court. I went into court with her and sat down and watched the proceeding. And I remember it was Judge Amy Sutherland. And I knew sitting there watching the justice that Judge Sutherland was able to accomplish in such a high stake, difficult situation that's where I was supposed to be one day.
You called it your game, right? I always say, football, baseball, something, but I'll never forget the first time that you and I had a coffee visit, and we got a chance to unveil our inside stories to each other, and we went deep. And there were so many things happening in your personal life, yet professionally, you were just, climbing the ladder and conquering the world. And I was intimidated by you and inspired all at the same time. And it was that day when you said to me, when I said, where's your happy place? Where do you find sanctuary? That peace of mind. And you said the courtroom. Take me through that.
Sure. When I finally got to get involved in debate and mock trial, I was a sophomore in college. And I became captain of the nationally ranked mock trial team, and still keep in touch with some of those teammates. But I got to pretend I was in the courtroom. I got to play the witness and the attorney and the judge at times. And so it was a fascinating process for me, starting from not having a clue, not having law, not having the evidentiary basis to do any of this. I just felt it. And so when I got into law school, I kept doing mock trial. And then they finally let me do it really after I passed the bar exam. And that courtroom awesome. Is just a place where I have clarity. I come up with arguments. I come up with the rules. It is my favorite place to be professionally, because it is my home and a place that I have complete joy inside.
Why are you running for judge? And I don't want to get it wrong. 8th Circuit Court in Davidson County, Tennessee. Why?
Because I have spent 18 years litigating in the courtroom, arguing. I have handled prosecution and defense in criminal matters. I have handled plaintiff and defendant in civil matters. I have seen every angle of the courtroom. I have been teaching at Vanderbilt Law School since 2014, acting as a judge and teaching law students how to implement their rules, evidentiary. And so bringing all that together, now's my time. And it is so important for a public servant to be able to sit on a bench and offer the community integrity, respect, and treat people. I've even been a witness in cases, and it doesn't feel good when you're not treated kindly. This is an intimidating scenario for people who are experiencing probably the worst thing that could ever happen to them. And while I love the courtroom, I understand that not a whole lot of people do. And it's a place where someone is seeking justice. And no matter what side you're on, you need to have a judge who can treat everyone fairly and assess credibility and follow the rule of law and know what to expect when you walk into that courtroom.
Has this happened to you in your daily day? Have you ever experienced the opportunities? And I'm really setting this up for you, because here's what I know that you can't elaborate on today. And it upsets me for you, but I'm so happy for you, because without the painful gifts of the factors and the obstacles and the circumstances that you face on a daily basis that the public can't even be aware of right now, that is unfair, unjust. There are people that are, unfortunately, shocker to me, that could be sitting in a seat as a judge or prosecutor or an attorney and not obeying the law. And the fact that you can't elaborate on certain things, may I be your advocate today to say, whatever you can elaborate on. I mean, do you know that what it's like to be on the other side and not sitting on the bench, not the attorney, with the education and the experience and the ability to know the difference between whether that is the true law or is it a version that someone has put a perspective to? Can you elaborate in any way?
Sure. I think walking into a scenario where you're the underdog or you're fighting an uphill battle or it's a mountain you're not quite sure you're going to make it to the top of, it's challenging. But I was raised by a very strong mother and father who didn't give up, and I won't give up. And so when I have those barriers and those obstacles, I have learned that hard work, preparation, kindness, it will get you where you need to go. And I get knocked down, we all do, but what I'm teaching my children is to stand up, shake it off, and move on. Do it better next time, do it bigger next time. And that's the best message, because some things are out of our control. And I believe that if I keep following the law, following the rule of law, doing the right thing, that all of these things will come into place and I will be precisely where I'm meant to be.
You talked about your mother, but if we, again, had 5 days to talk about the awards, 2021 being Woman of Influence for the Nashville Business Journal. I mean, there's a list, and highlight something for us. Tell us, achieving certain awards. I bet you there's at least one or two that immediately come to mind where the fact that you were able to achieve it is just is miraculous to you and important. So tell us, from the insiders, to understand the perspective of who you are, not just as someone running to be a judge, but even the people that you've been an advocate for. Right here, Laurie, Inside Story owner. And today's not our story, but you empowered me to stand up when I was 100%. If it wasn't for you in my life as my attorney, that I would have never taken the steps that I did. And it changed my life, helped me level up as a business owner. So you've advocated for sex trafficking, the list goes on. So I'm jumping all around, and I just say the awards, nominations, anything. Talk about some of that.
Thank you for all of that. I'm very glad to have helped. That's why I'm an attorney. I have always done my best to help everyone that I can, regardless of their situation, ability to pay, anything like that. And I think a lot of us do go into the law hoping to do that. I've been very fortunate to be able to do that as long as I have, and spent so much of my time in public service and nonprofit. 14 of my 18 years have been in public service and nonprofit. And the awards, I am happy to share a couple of them with you, but what we do in public servants, and my mother would tell you this, we don't do it for the recognition. We do it for the impact that we're making in people's lives, whether that be children, victims of domestic violence, plaintiffs, defendants, whomever you are representing. We want to impact their lives. And so it's amazing. It is such an honor to be recognized occasionally, but that's not why we do the work. As you mentioned, I did get the Nashville Business Journal's 2021 Woman of Influence for Inspiration Mentor. And that spoke so much to me because that was coming off of 2020 when the whole world shut down, and single parenting my now 9, 7, and 2.5-year-old, when the daycare closed, when I'm working full-time at a boutique law firm, when I'm getting work out of New York and here in Nashville. And then schools were closed and we were doing Zoom, and then you had summer camps were all shut down. And so that whole entire year, we've all lived through it, but I rose up. I was knocked down from, I felt like every direction, and I made something of it. I created and co-founded the Childcare Alliance of Middle Tennessee through the Community Foundation. I'm actively involved in the American Ends of Court, where we work on professionalism and ethics for judges and attorneys. I was being recognized for my involvement in the community, but as an inspiration and mentor, saying, you can do this. You can think the worst thing that could possibly happen is going on in your life, but you can get through it and you can move forward and you can still keep impacting the community.
You told me some of the deep inside story of things that you've been facing personally that have impacted your career, and things that we're not digging into today. But you said it's a blessing, Laurie. There's so many blessings that keep coming from it. So I'm just smiling and saying, bring it on, because I know the importance of it. Because no one will be able to, when we're able to really empathize and feel and connect, human connection to another human being. And the fact that you're walking their walk in some way, when you have been working recently, before working for the attorney firm that you are a part of, you were out there fighting for the underdog again. So, you saw a lot of wrong. And there were laws that you told me that you were going to change. Is there anything in particular you'd like to put a voice to today?
Yes, it's a very delicate situation to be running for judge and telling the world you want to change the system. So be careful about my dreams and aspirations from the bench and stay focused on, as I mentioned, the hard work, preparedness, experience, and respect, integrity, all of those things. But when I was serving as the lead family law attorney at Legal Aid Society from October of 2020 until October of 2021, the reason that I left was to run for this position. And I had to leave. I tried to figure out how to maintain those cases because Legal Services Corporation prohibits their attorneys from running in partisan elections. And so that's the only reason that I left.
Which means you gambled your livelihood and the work that you were doing and the commitment to take this step to move forward with no guarantee that you will be awarded the opportunity to be a judge.
That's true. And when you sit down and talk about it, it's a lot scarier to recognize. Someone has come to me and said, you quit your job to run? That's how strongly I feel about what I'm supposed to be doing. And yes, that is what I've done. But that year at Legal Aid Society, I was representing victims of domestic violence. And it was all day, every day. And we made some great changes at that office. I had a great team. We just had to get together with everybody who's supporting me on this campaign. And I just look at them as family. again, they don't get credit for what they do on a day-to-day basis. But walking into court and seeing what I have personally and professionally with the court system, I feel like I can affect change from the bench and help in a positive way these individuals, whether you're a victim, whether you're someone who's done something wrong, but bring it all to light in a way that you're not going to a bunch of different courts. They do it in other jurisdictions. It's a criminal, civil, hybrid domestic violence court. And not to take away from the 2 family court judges that we have, but being able to, again, minimize the exposure to different judges and courtrooms to these people who have experienced so much. And I don't believe everybody's a victim. I've seen it. I believe my job as a judge would be to assess credibility and determine when in fact things have occurred and have not, among other things.
Wow, which is incredibly, talking about just being able to represent the law. That's, and to abide by it and be a passionate advocate for it. So let's talk about Childcare Alliance of Middle Tennessee. Nothing better to do. So let's go out and found an organization, and develop that. And I shouldn't be silly about it, because it's unbelievable to be doing all the different things you do. And we're so connected. Single parenthood, it melts my heart. And it also, this is the part that was, I would say, inspiring to me. And I felt like we were kindred spirits from a position of saying, we don't wish it upon anyone, but it is a gift when you step up to the plate to handle it. So you launched an organization for childcare for families, for children. Why and how? And what can we do to support it? What's the website address first? Tell us that.
Sure. It's through the Community Foundation, and it's just the Childcare Alliance of Middle Tennessee. And back when my 9-year-old, I was pregnant with my 9-year-old, and I went to a daycare facility. McKendree United Methodist Church Daycare is the first place that I went and toured, and found out that there was an 18-month wait list for infants. And I thought, how does that work? And now it's 24 months. And so
Wow.
This has been a problem for a very, very long time in our nation. And people are starting to talk about it and give funds towards it, which is amazing. I hope we're making progress. What I wanted to do, I got on the board there and was working, I think 7 years I served on the McKendree Daycare Board. All of my kids have been or are going through there. We're a legacy family because we've been going to daycare for so long. But wanting to create and expand high quality childcare for everyone. If you have heard of No Small Matter, it is a documentary. It's about 70 minutes that is now on Amazon Prime. So I started working with the Community Foundation and Childcare Tennessee. This documentary explains how children are molded from the ages of 0 to 5 and have more brain development than they will ever have in their entire lives. Every single child, once they turn 5, you are playing catch up for the rest of that child's life. And so if they're adverse childhood experiences or ACEs or trauma or fabulous things or reading, all of these things that are going on from 0 to 5, and why childcare, high quality childcare is so necessary, is you're changing the trajectory of all children. It goes down to health, criminal justice reform. If they're educated and their minds are working and they're mentally able to and competent. The military, there was an amazing statistic in there. The military, I think it's over 80% are not qualified because of mental health, lack of education, or criminal background, all of which, if you watch this documentary, is scientifically proven to be changed and addressed from 0 to 5. And so it's just a fascinating catch-all explanation of what I'm so passionate about in changing childcare. We can change the world through childcare. So we created this. It had been taking so long to get done. And finally we sat in a room and I said, we're not leaving here until we get this done. And we got it done. And we started moving forward, and we have a board now, and we're starting our first fundraiser. And it's exciting to me to work directly with these childcare facilities, the ones that are creating new ones, building out ones that currently exist, and the way that the community is interested in getting involved and willing to do so in this.
Incredible. I mean, you just listening to you took me back to the first time I realized that I was paralyzed and should be celebrating that I was a mama of 2 babies. When my second child was born and he was under the age of 18 months, I was in a position where I realized my options to get back out into the workforce were slim to none. And I was faced with that decision of great childcare or affordable childcare. And I will tell you those options. And as a parent, to have to decide and put a price tag on that is there's just no words for it. And it's men and women and families, even choosing not to have a second child or a child, that we're making decisions based on our future generations. So thank you is most important for me to say to you, because it was so painful to look at a baby and think, how am I going to do what I need to do as a person, and stop those thoughts that make us feel sickly and guilty because we're like, and I'll say it, I get angry at times and frustrated, like this has changed my life and not for the better. That's a shameful thought that I remember having and being in turmoil. So your Child Care Alliance of Middle Tennessee means freeing a man or a woman to give birth to a baby, life to life, and being able to be in position to do great things, earn a paycheck, run a business, whatever. We need it, right?
Yes, we absolutely do. And our
So
children need it.
Yes, and the fact that you have 3, and it's just, again, we should be calling you Lady Justice. That's what I should have started with, because even your logo behind you, right? I mean, talk about Lady. Why? Who's Lady Justice?
Lady Justice is the epitome of what I believe our justice system should be, and what I personally would bring to the bench. Justice is blind, justice is swift, and justice should be fair and balanced, and is fair and balanced, and would be in my courtroom. And I chose this particular one because her scales are balanced, as they should be. You'll see them not balanced in a lot of logos, but this particular one, with her swift sword and blind justice and fair and balanced scales, speaks so deeply to me and what I want to bring to the bench if given the opportunity.
So Lynne Ingram is now Lady Justice in the modern day world, right? So we've covered a lot, but I think this would be a great time for us to talk further about what's it like from the inside out to run for a position as being a judge for the, again, I want to emphasize it, the 8th Circuit Court in Davidson County, Tennessee. What's that journey been like so far? Where are you going with it?
The journey has been the most challenging journey of my life, and I've had quite a few, as you've mentioned, but it's part of the process, and this is the required process to get where I believe I'm supposed to be. It has been fun and exciting. My favorite part about campaigning is connecting with people I would never have otherwise met. I love people. I love connecting with people. Yes, you and I had such a fantastic connection. And even if it's just 1 or 2 people here and there, just those connections that I'm making is my favorite part. It is busy. There is something going on, sometimes 3 things all at once. My kids are playing soccer, and
you're coaching.
I am not coaching this bridge season, so I have a month off while they're doing the winter season.
But how many times or how many seasons have you coached, and will you get back to?
Yes, 2 seasons, and Drew and Grant were on the same team for an entire year, and so that was fun and easy to do.
Yeah. You couldn't sit on the bleachers like most parents, right? You're fun and easy. No, you had to step up and be the coach, you know?
I didn't step up. No one else was willing to do it. And another example of our kids need us. This is
Yeah.
not the best at this, but we're going to give it all we've got and teach them some great life lessons while we have fun.
Lady
So
Justice.
that's how
Yeah.
that happens.
I
Very
love it.
organically. Then fast forward to this campaigning and teaching and all the organizations that I'm involved in. It's the busiest I've ever been in my life, but I have a deal worked out with my kids, which they're very excited about this campaigning. They told their teachers, and everyone they run into, they try and get them to vote, and they see all these signs, and it's so fun. But our deal is you can stay up until I get home. A lot of these events are very quickly after work or a little bit later, but I go and I pick all three of them up. I take them home, I get them situated, then I'll go do my event, and then I come home. And so we have a lot of sitters, a lineup of sitters. But that's the deal. And so I put them to bed every night, and it's working for us. And they know I am working as hard as I possibly can. Sometimes they go to bed and see me, I have more work to do, but they're watching their mom work for it. And so I think that is probably one of the biggest payoffs of this, is the lessons that my kids are learning from this.
I ask every guest this, and it's from a beautiful place for you to feel or to think about. It's been fascinating. We've had a guest on, the 80 years old, amazing Jerome Connie, who never thought about her legacy and her footprint on the world. And she's 80 years old. She just lives her life. It's just proof in the pudding, right? If we focus on just living rather than we're dying. But Lynne, your time comes, and you've touched lives. What's your legacy? What's your footprint? What are you leaving for us to remember? Lady Justice, Lynne Ingram, what does that look like for you?
When you ask me that, a poem immediately comes to mind that my mom has hanging on her wall, and that was handed to me as a magnet when I was handling child exploitation cases at the U.S. Attorney's Office for so long. And it is, I don't care what my footprint is. I haven't focused on my footprint. I don't think who will remember me. The poem is that I made the difference in the life of a child. And that is what is most important to me. If I made a difference in the life of one child, I am satisfied.
So think of something funny so we don't cry. But you've touched so many children's lives now, and the parents. You've stood for people that if they hadn't had you as the prosecutor, I hate to go back to it, but a child being a part of sex trafficking, and you to be able to withstand that as a prosecutor for years. That was really the first time we met in a business meeting, and you were to my right, and we all were going around the room in this meeting doing our 2-minute elevator pitch, whatever. And you talked about the number of years that you did that to advocate for children. And I literally interrupted the meeting, which is not a surprise, and turned to you and said, how the heck did you do that? I can't even handle, the emotional idea of it. And we had to be, called out and stop talking. Lynne and Laurie will separate you, but you've already influenced so many children. So for you to say that's your legacy and footprint, I mean, I'm asking you to take a moment and put a voice to that. I mean, to do what you've done and to continue to do more. I mean, what's driving you right now?
I've been given a gift. I have an ability to be able to zealously advocate for whomever is put in front of me. That was a significant amount of time of my career has been with victims, but I have been given a gift to have the ability to do it. And that's what drives me, is when I walk into courts, I am fierce, and I am unwilling to let whomever I was representing down, because every person is a case. I will tell you, I recently found out about one of my domestic violence victims. We got her an order of protection, and the respondent, he violated the order of protection and she had the court document in hand. We were successful, but she had to go to work. And the police came and she said, I can't handle this right now. I've got to go to work, which so many of them have to.
Yes.
And he lied in wait. And when the police left, he shot and killed her and shot her father. And it's heartbreaking. But when you think about the gravity of every single case, same with being a judge, these aren't just numbers. These are people. And as I mentioned, they're experiencing the worst thing they could ever experience. And to have the ability to help has been an absolute dream of mine during my career.
Well, I'm just so grateful that, walking beside you on God's payroll, that you're a person who just leads from a place of every day, every minute, to the best of our abilities, should be purposeful. And my heart goes out to the family and to that individual that you defended, and many of them. And I would say, what else can we help put a voice to as the inside story hunters and the insiders that are listening or watching? And don't forget to subscribe, insiders, by clicking the button below. Lots of information is included in the description. But Lynne, you're a teacher, you're a mom, you're an attorney, you're running to be a judge, you've been a soccer coach. I mean, the list goes on. And I'm asking you to explain to the insiders, what can they do differently that you are finding, especially when it comes to matters of the court, of the law, how we approach things. Those fears, people are intimidated. As soon as you hear something like, I might get sued, or you taught me to learn that the law is my friend, as long as you are being supported by the right people. We are who we hang out with, professionally and personally. So from a law perspective, from being an advocate, a prosecutor, all the roles that you fill, what are something that you could teach us through your eyes and through your passion with the law?
I would say, don't believe in the false narrative. Know that good can and will come out of a situation that seems impossible. As you mentioned, I would say, anyone can sue anyone for anything. And that is very scary for business owners, for landowners, for homeowners, for anyone. It's scary to know that. And I remind my clients often, am I going to get sued for this? Anyone can sue anyone for anything. And that's why our court system, we need judges who have integrity and treat people with respect, because of that situation, right? Mm-hmm. So I would say that knowing that and not living in fear of it and doing what's right and doing the right thing, that any of the false narrative, I wouldn't hear it. I wouldn't hear it. I would know that it may be a long, difficult road, but the right and just result will take place.
If I wanted to support your campaign, and I know you can't reach out and ask for us to donate, and we wish all politicians knew that. Sorry, just had to say that. But how can we support you? This is a financial obligation that's much bigger than most people understand. So where can we go? How can we be aware of support in any way? Volunteering for an event, anything? Please help me put a voice to that.
Thank you. LynneIngramForJudge.com is our website. There is a place on there to find out more about our campaign, to donate. There's a place to volunteer. And so all of that to say, we need the help. This is a very grassroots campaign. I started this with nothing, coming from public service, and every dollar that we have raised, we are very careful with, and very intentional about, and very grateful for. People don't get involved in judicial races. From what I can tell, we're trying to raise awareness, because they don't know how the court system might impact them, unless they have had to experience that or know someone who has. But you have people who know how to do this. You have signs, you have staff, you have all of these things that cost, but I am excited to share that we have just ordered our yard signs. And so if
Wow.
anyone wants to place one, please go to that website. Let us know. We would love to be able to place a yard sign in your yard.
Absolutely. That's unbelievable. So volunteering, donations, all of these things by going to your website. And there's Facebook, there's all kinds where I'm following you all the time on the next event you're at or shortly after when you're putting a voice to it. So I would just say Lynne Ingram running for judge for 8th Circuit Court in Davidson County, Tennessee. It's more than you just becoming a judge. I know this, but that, just keep fighting for the children. And I always say I want to run for president as your fan club, but you have people fulfilling those roles right now. And this is a part you won't brag on, but I need you to, and this is the part that we'll close on. So take as long as you want because the list is long and it's impressive and important. The people that are endorsing you, Lynne, the people that even have blown your mind that they would endorse you and you barely knew, yet they have faith in you. On limited experience of knowing who you are as a person and as a professional. Who's endorsing you?
Sure. Thank you for asking about that. We have several council members, Jeff Syracuse, Emily Benedict, Zach Young, Aaron Evans. We are continuing to meet with council members and explore those endorsements, and the feedback has been really amazing. Abby Rubenfeld is a hard-charging attorney around here who has endorsed me. Crystal Cole, Olivia Hill, Matt Sweeney, Lavelle Glanton, Deborah Lambert, all of these people who truly believe in me and my ability to bring experience, integrity, and respect and justice to the bench, to the 8th Circuit Court bench. Their support means the world to me.
Well, I support you. And insiders, I hope that, again, that, click that button below, subscribe. Lady Justice just shared her inside story, a part of it. I am sure we'll circle back around once you become the judge of the 8th Circuit Court in Davidson County, Tennessee. And if you'll do me the honor to capture more of that story when you have already, you've come across the finish line and you're out there making changes in the law and representing the bench well. So
May 3rd.
May 3rd. Oh my God, 2022. So I'm sure we'll come up, and it's not that far away, it's seconds away, but let's not rush the journey for you because take it in, absorb it. I'm proud to know you. I love you. I'm grateful for your friendship, and I believe in you, and keep changing the world.
Thank you, Laurie. You too.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.